Good morning, mums and dads. Welcome to the 2022 edition of National Children's Day, where we commemorate and celebrate children and their rights. And we highlight various aspects in terms of children's rights, their responsibilities as well. We must not forget that, because you can't have rights without responsibilities, because those will be abused. So, welcome to this year's edition, where Dads in the Picture is celebrating and commemorating children's rights. With me, I'm not alone. I've got Dedico Ketso, and we do have other dads who are yet to join us. Just, technology happens. Dedico Ketso, welcome.
Thanks, Daddy Zibusi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this broadcast. This is Des in Picture again doing this celebration for National Children's Day. Um, I do know that you will enjoy this broadcast. Please stay with us till the end, and other Des will join us. Thanks.
Fantastic. Let's see if Daddy Bernard is able to. I think Daddy Bernard is now sorted out. Daddy B,
Daddy
welcome.
Z, Daddy KK, thank you.
There we go. How are you doing, Daddy? Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you. Wena?
No, get sharp. No stress, Baba.
Hola.
So I think in the absence of our other guests, we'll just get into the conversation. Briefly so for now. Maybe Daddy B, just give us your thoughts firstly around this day, National Children's Day.
No, thank you, Daddy Z, and good morning to the dads out there. Good morning to you, Daddy Z, as well. Good morning to you, Daddy Koketo. In my view, with regards to the Children's Day, I think it's a special day for the children. However, I still believe we still need to do so much for them, specifically on the day as we commemorate and celebrate them. Because we believe that all children should be equal, should be treated equal. Their rights should be promoted as they are indicated in the section 38 of the Constitution. However, I believe that there are more and many children out there who are not even being recognized, especially during this day. I understand there are organizations such as ours where we think of those children, organizations such as us, where we reach to those children who are unable to have to have and feel the love for both parents, to be appreciated as children. But I believe that we should expand. We should expand the day. As such, we have the 16 days of activism. Why should we celebrate National Children's Day only one day? How can we make it more than one day? How can it can be a weekend on its own or a week on its own, where we commemorate, as a country, and we make noise about it, and then we ensure that even the messages reach our ECDs, reach our schools, reach our orphanages, so that they know that they are being appreciated, and then at least they give them a platform as well where we can even hear, their grievances, and what is it that it's about children, whereas they're not having an opportunity to say how they feel, an opportunity to provide possibly the solutions to the issues that they're experiencing themselves. How can we all the time, we understand we are adults, we are the decision makers, they are dependent on us, but are we sure that every decision we are taking is it in their best interest? Do we give them a platform once or twice where we can hear their views? Is it only that it should happen when we are in a situation where we are in a children's court, for example, whereby now we need to hear the view of a child who if now the child has to choose to a parent, to which parent they prefer to live with. I think in any instance, in any situation that involves a child, I think here and there, depending on their age as well, but I think we need to give them an opportunity to you know to issue or to provide us with the possible solution to what the experience is. Remember, it's about them. So I believe that it should be a day where we reach to the children. Yeah. Thank you, Daisy. Unmute, Daddy.
Mute. Unmute.
Thank you. Sorry. Didi Koketso, your thoughts around National Children's Day?
Yes, I think Daddy Bernard mentioned a whole lot that we really stand for. And for me, it's a day where we get to really highlight the plight that our children are facing and really show the world what quality of life our children deserve. I think that's my 2 cents from it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dad, for your thoughts. I think one thing Daddy Bennett touched on was the issue of that when it comes to the 16 days of activism, right, that is stretched for over 16 days, and others even advocate for that to happen beyond. Nothing wrong with that. We're not against that. But why don't we also focus on the responsibilities and rights of children throughout the year, and highlight those, because there are so many children who don't understand their responsibilities and their rights, and so in the process they get to abuse those, they get to misuse their rights, they get to misappropriate them, where they're not supposed to. And that's one thing I believe that it needs to happen. We don't only need to say we want to give and let it all be good things. Sometimes it has to be the difficult things as a child, that you have certain responsibilities that you need to adhere to live up to, before you can even start to say I have rights. You need to conduct yourself in a particular way before you even get to the point where you say, my rights are this. So when you claim your rights, when you tell another about your rights as a child, you need to be understanding that yes, you do have the rights, but at the same time there are responsibilities to those rights. And maybe also, just to get to our program for today, I just want to get to it. So, what we want to basically reflect on is the 10 years of Dads in the Picture, since we're celebrating that for this year. Dads in the Picture has been around since 2012, which is quite a lifetime, eh? So, if we had
Yeah.
been raising a child, the child would probably now be in primary school, looking forward to high school. The child would be doing a lot of things. And then what we'd also like to touch on, hopefully Mami Ayanda will join us, the positive parenting tools for fathers. How can fathers just implore those? And then lastly, we'll touch on the impact of fatherhood. Dedeko Kids,
Yes.
are you ready to share with us the impact of fatherhood?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Um,
awesome.
I'll basically first try to explain what fatherhood is, what it entails, and then what good fatherhood is, and then the impact of that good fatherhood on a child's life. So, what is fatherhood? Um, well, I'll first start off with the dictionary meaning of it. And it says that fatherhood is a state of being a father where a person enters fatherhood when they become a father. This most commonly happens when their child is born, but it can also happen through adoption or by marrying or becoming a partner to someone with children, as a step parent or stepfather, in this case. But we can extend this definition by saying that fatherhood is a social construct and an institution that includes the rights, duties, responsibilities, and statuses associated with being a father. A very useful distinction can therefore be made that there's a difference between the terms father, fathering, and fatherhood. And now that we know what fatherhood is, what is good fatherhood? I'll explain this by giving a few examples of the traits that good fatherhood encompasses. Um, for example, a responsible father are good at organizing important things for their children and family. These dads are responsible for their children's appointments, such as child health nurse, a GP's visit, immunization sessions, and being organized with school related activities such as school supplies, uniforms, music, sports, etc. Now, a thoughtful father is one that remembers and is always thinking about their children, what they need, what they want, etc. These dads are great at knowing their child's strengths and limits, their favorite toys, their friends' names, and what they love to play with. They're also good at planning ahead and thinking about such things as planning their child's birthday present or parties. Now, there's a nurturing father which makes sure that the child is cared for and looked after. These fathers are involved in things such as preparing meals, bath times, and buying clothes. They also look after the child when they are sick. They stay home from work and look after them or take them to the doctor. There's another example of an affectionate father. Now, these are just the traits that I picked to highlight on. An affectionate father shows their child how much they love them. These fathers express their love, give their child hugs and kisses, and say, I love you. Um, there's an interactive father, which does the following together with their families. They play, communicate, explore ideas, and maybe manage emotions and think creatively. These fathers encourage their child to be involved in decisions such as which game to play, which park to go to, what meal to eat for dinner, for example. They also encourage their child to talk about feelings and ideas that have been raised in things such as book shows, movies, or even games. There's a sharing dad. Um, a sharing father shares parenting roles with their partner and use a teamwork approach to parenting. These fathers share household tasks, discuss parenting strengths and weaknesses with mom or their partner, and decide on how to respond to their child's feelings and behaviors. Lastly, as an example I picked is a providing dad, which are a dad, which is a dad, a father that that is a breadwinner and protects the family. These fathers work to provide for their family while the mother or partner is home looking after the children. They also ensure the family feels safe and implement the set of rules in the home. This might not, the providing father, this might not fully conform to all family setups, as we are now in a society where both mom and dad go to work. Now, given these examples, how does good fatherhood impact a child's development, well being, societal existence, and ultimately their quality of life? And that is to say, what is the impact of good fatherhood on a child? I chose examples as well, as there's many impact areas that good fatherhood could influence in a child's life. The following are the ones I picked. You'll see an increase in intellect. For example, a father might not have the brightest of minds in the world, but an active father can help increase a child's emotional intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. Um, Children raised with active fathers tend to do better at school, and that's proven. and are less likely to drop out of school or commit juvenile or petty crimes. A second example is this: a boost in confidence. The emotional support provided by a father to his child is a priceless gift. By helping children to understand how much they are valued and loved, children with supportive fathers are more likely to have high self esteem and are generally happier and more confident. They also demonstrate greater tolerance of stressful situations and frustrations, there are less hesitation and fear in new situations. They also experience an increased ability to resist peer pressure and stand up for themselves. Our children need someone to look up to. So that's one other example I picked. Fathers provide a positive male role model for their children and help to promote or reinforce good behaviors. As a result, children with more involved fathers tend to have fewer behavioral and impulse control problems, long attention span, and higher level of sociability. These children also tend to be more compassionate and generous with an increased awareness of the needs and the rights of others. Um, this also provides a different perspective to how children view the world. Um, Children are naturally full of questions, and mothers and fathers approach these questions in different ways. Active parents with different approaches to parenting can be a great way to expose children to a broad range of thinking and problem solving. So, active fathers have a unique opportunities to share their perspective on life and teach their children valuable life skills. Lastly, to feel the love. It is most obvious to say, but that doesn't make it any less important. Having an active father makes a child feel loved. Having a father as a steady source of love and encouragement helps ensure that children grow up happy and healthy with high self esteem. Now, being an active and present father, practicing or subscribing to good fatherhood is one of the most important things you can do for your child. I thank you.
Thank you, Teddy, for those amazing insights in your presentation. I think there are a lot of key nuggets that one can take away from that. Um, what resonated mostly for me was that, as a father, you don't always have to be the best in everything, but just have the heart to be a dad, to be a positive role model. There's a story that I remember. My sister, my brother-in-law, so maybe not necessarily my brother-in-law, my sister's boyfriend. They had children together, and the children then are staying with him. And for the longest time, he was unemployed. And being unemployed, every morning he would wake up and just take the children to school, no matter what the weather. Take their bags, put them on him, carry the children when they were smaller, and as they grow, he would hold their hands. When
Mm.
school knocks out, he goes there. They find him waiting at the gate, and it's such a beautiful story to see that he's not waiting for the financial resources to start being a good dad. He does what he can with what he has,
Yeah,
and that's what's basically needed from a father.
yeah, true, true.
Did it be your reflections on what Dodiko Getso shared? Network issue has started again.
Yeah,
The common traits. Maybe we'll get him on when he comes back on. Maybe from my side, what I would like to share, especially as part of the program, and we'll wait for comments as they go along, is the journey of dads in the picture. It's amazing that a lot of those who started with dads in the picture are not yet with us here, and they've got their various responsibilities. But it's an organization that shows that you can hand over the baton to other dads, that you don't always have to be the one who owns such a thing. It's our collective responsibility as dads to take this organization and own it up. So Dads in the Picture was formed in 2012 by a group of dads who had common interests, and mostly they happen to be bikers. So it's dads who happen to be bikers, and they observed certain pattern within their communities and the circles where they were, and they thought, you know what, um, if we are here in the day jolls, in all the social events, who is there for our children? Who is there for our children at home? How much time do we actually get to spend with our children? Because it seems like we spend a lot of time with each other in the absence of our children. And so then they formed a group, and they started conceptualizing this idea that how about we do this? And one of them, the founder, Dedimesh, thought, as he reflected in his life, that, you know what, um, I was raised by an army of women. And that's how he always described it, an army of women around me. And with these armies of women around me, with this army of women around me, a father is missing. I don't have a relationship with my father. I don't know what's going on with him. So, how can I then be better? How can I change this narrative and not have my children growing up as I did in this environment? And so they formalized all of this into an organization, which then became Dads in the Picture. Now, Dads in the Picture, if you look at the logo, it has a father holding two children's hands, um, and initially it wasn't like that. It was just a dad holding the hand of a boy child, but it was not really about fathers and sons, but it was about dads and children. And so then the logo was changed to add the girl child and say fathers in totality with their children need to then be there for their children. And most people tend to think of Dads in the Picture as an organization that is for fathers. It is for men, when it actually isn't. It is an organization that advocates for fathers to be present in the lives of their children. But that advocacy happens for the children. Our primary concern are the children. Anything and everything we do is geared at ensuring that whenever a child looks back at their life, they can always see that dad has always been in the picture, right? And when they can see that dad has always in the picture, they can also reflect on the memories and the lessons that dad has shared, the impact of dad being there as a positive parent. And there's been so much research around the benefits of a dad being present in a child's life. Things like your performance at school, a child's confidence, a child's identity. The social ills that we see today, they are mainly as a result, most of them are mainly as a result of an absent father in the home, or a child growing up without a father. And that has created that vacuum. So as dads in the picture, we always advocate for fathers to be there. But fathers often always come back and say, but I don't know how to be, right, a positive dad. I don't have the tools. I've never had a father. I've never seen another father being there. So how do I do this? And we say, we welcome dads like you. We welcome dads with imperfections, with faults, dads who are basically considered screw ups by others. We say we want you, because if we continuously shame you, if we continuously reject you, then how are you ever going to change and be a better father And so that's where then the approach changed, that let's be all inclusive, right? And in our inclusivity, we make sure that we then empower each other. So I may be imperfect. I may have some flaws of mine, but the most important thing is I'm surrounded by other dads who help me every day. I may have faults that I am unaware of, and that's where I have other dads to help me through that journey in identifying and working on those. And then over the years, we've kind of, for the lack of a better word, put up four pillars that we live by. We work on the emotional, on the spiritual, on the financial, as well as the physical. So you need to be working constantly as a dad on those four pillars, making sure that you become a balanced person. Become a balanced human being, so that you can be a dad who imparts things that are positive to your children. So that's been the evolution of Dads in the Picture. And along the way, we've made friends, we've made partners. In 2013, just when we were a year old, we toured the country through the national tour, and did the same again in 2016, where we're going to different communities that were out of reach. Typically, those who would not have, like, your social media access, those who would not have the infrastructure that others easily have, those communities. And we reached those, and brought that awareness with them, and said to them, we do have partners that you can work with. And we also refer dads to those partner networks. Some of those partnerships are with the Office of the Family Advocate, with Family South Africa, which is FAMSA, the Nationale Vrou Federatie, and so many others. We've partnered with individuals, psychologists, who will also provide that psychological support. And we've partnered with other organizations in the same space, because we acknowledge that we can't do this alone. This is not just for us. It's not our thing to say, this is mine, I'm not going to partner this with anyone else, so I want the space for myself. We support other organizations, and we constantly get invitations to different forums. So that's where we are. We've been on TV, we've been on radio. We constantly get invited to different platforms, and we honor those invitations, because we know the importance of aiming to be a better father, and of influencing the space. So that's been the journey of Dads in the Picture, and we hope that we can also give the batons to the younger generation, to say, take this up, it's yours, move with it, run with it, so that it doesn't just end with us, it goes beyond us, it outlives us. And that's the importance of this organization. We are not about self-enrichment, we are not about um the word, self-focused. We are not about that. I may be speaking here, but this is not about me. It's about the children who need the positive fathers. And that's why we say, let us address the insanity that's tainting our greatness. And let's ensure that every child has a dad, and empower that child to be the best of themselves through ensuring that there is a positive male role model. I shall pause for now and allow my fellow dads to also come in and share their thoughts around their experience with dads in the picture. Daddy Koketso, Daddy Bernard.
Hello, Dad. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. Even though I think my camera froze, but it's fine. I'll continue.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise Buse, for giving a detailed background about the organization. I, for one, myself, I believe I'm blessed to be part of the organization. You know, it's been few years that I've been with the organization. As a father, as a dad myself, I also, after joining the organization, I believed that indeed we need similar organization, you know, that will equip us more with the knowledge and the skills, you know, those parenting tools of being a father. You know, as we grow, as we become fathers, you know, we have children that are depending on us. We believe we are doing things right, you know, but unfortunately we forget that in between there are gaps. You know, there are challenges that we come across as dads, because remember, we are only, sometimes most of us are not only the fathers or the dads, we are also husbands, you know, brothers, uncles, and so on. So the dads in the picture also managed to close those gaps that I was having myself, you know, polished, you know, also the knowledge I've been having regarding the fatherhood itself. And then it also improved the relationship that I have with my daughters. You know, as we believe that the relationship between a daughter and a father is not as strong as a daughter and a mother. You know, but ever since I've been part of the organization, the relationship has grown, has improved to an extent that, you know, even my teenage daughter now, who is a teenager, you know, we do things together. You know, I'm managing to talk to her about lots of things that uh, I couldn't previously. You know, the gaps are closed. You know, so we spend more time together, although there are situations where I cannot be too physical and, you know, push them, you know, like I wish to. But you know, as they are my princesses, my angels, you know, the relationship has improved in the previous years. So I believe we can have similar organizations where men, fathers, can belong to, can be part of, you know. And we are so fortunate to have an organization like this in the picture, where you don't even need to even affiliate on a monthly basis. You know, you don't need to pay a subscription fee or a membership fee. You know, it's an organization that is open to everyone, irrespective of the race, of the language, of the religion, you know. And it improves the relationship, not only for the dads to the children, but the children to the dads. You know, we, our children now are able to confront us with their issues, you know, are able to open up about what they are experiencing in school or wherever they might be, you know. So I hope and pray that this organization grows and that it gets the recognition it deserves. You know, even though financially I wish we could get that kind of assistance, so that we can reach more children that are in need of us as fathers. And I believe, like you have said, and the Kukets have said earlier, that our children are looking up to us. You know, we want to see impact like we already did in the previous 10 years and counting, so that those children that do not have fathers in their lives, we can be able to make an impact as the role models, you know. So I hope that this organization, as myself, everywhere I go, it's what I preach, you know. I hope that it grows, it gets the assistance and the sponsorship it deserves, and then everyone is welcome. So that's my take on the organization itself. So I am repeating my first sentence, that I believe I am blessed to be part of the organization that's in the picture. Thank you, Daisy.
Thanks, DDP. And now, Dediko Ketso, your reflections.
Yes, indeed, we are blessed, very fortunate, Deji Bernard. Thanks, and hi everyone again. Yo, mine is different, hey. Well, and so are many others. Uh, there is another view that There's in the Picture is an organization that only helps with, for example, access rights to children. It's for fathers, and you approach Dads in the Picture when you have problems. That's how we get to be part of the organization, just for assistance. My experience was different. I was invited by a friend to a camp, and I didn't know of Dads in the Picture. I didn't know of conscious fathering. I didn't even know any of that. That's a couple of years ago. I took my children, we went camping, and the bug bit me. I started hearing of positive fatherhood, bonds with your children. To me, being a father was providing for the family. We get home, we share some thoughts, activities we love together, and that's it. The nurturing parts, the being active consciously, being positive in front of the children. Such ideas, for example, were never in my mind. I was basically existing as a father. So after that bug bit me, yeah, it went on from that as a positive experience for me, my family, my children. Things have gotten better than they were. Not that they were bad, but they are consciously being made better. It's not a consequence of activities that happen, but planned and thought through interventions made by me through the things that I've learned through other dads' experiences in the organization. So I'd say I'd invite many dads, whether you have problems or not. If you look to improve your life, learn from others' problems so that you don't make the same mistakes, or so that you can improve your situation from however good it is or how bad it is. This is a very good organization. I'd encourage a lot of dads to join this organization. Thanks. Thank you, Daisy.
Thanks, Diddy. One of the things that I didn't mention, right, is that we've got the camps, we've got the picnics on the 10th of December. We have the AGM, which is also a family day, and that's another opportunity for dads to come together with their children and basically dads and their families to come together in the presence of other dads and just be themselves and just enjoy the company of other dads and see what it means to be part of this family. I know that I've been privileged to be part of this organization. I remember when I started with this organization, maybe just a brief background of my journey. I used to be on Power 987 as a contributor. And each time when they introduced me, it was like, this is Zibusa Gunene from Dads in the Picture. I'm like, okay. Every time, Zibusa Gunene. And I thought, what is this Dads in the Picture thing that apparently I'm part of? And then I looked it up, and then I came across this organ. I was like, okay, this is good. Let me be part of this. And ever since then, I've never turned back. And I remember how I used to talk about men, how I used to be judgmental about absent fathers. That's another story for another day. That sometimes absent fathers are castigated in society. You know, first made to be absent, pushed into that point where they cannot be in the picture, and then they're spoken of as deadbeat dads. So nonetheless, I was quite judgmental until I started engaging in dads in the picture. And the funny thing is, I was contributing while learning at the same time, but my rate of contribution was lower than my rate of learning because I was coming from a low base and the standard was high. So I had to rise to that. So there's no man bashing, there's no daddy bashing, there's no mom bashing even. There's no anyone bashing. It's just simply a place where you get to learn, a platform where you get to appreciate each and every person's journey. And when you understand each person's journey, then you can grow. Then you can understand where they come from. And that's been my journey with Dads in the Picture. And then my love for children just went on another tangent, realizing that they need a positive male role model wherever they go. And wherever I am, I can also be that for them, not just to my own children, but I can be a dad to any child that I see. A child should not suffer when I'm not there. It's their right to be protected. It's their right to be loved, to be cared for, to learn. And at every point, whenever I can, I need to be the one who does that when the father is not there or when the father has other things to do. I also need to come to the party. And that's been my journey of Dads in the Picture. And I'd like to bring back my dads. Daddy's Goketo, Daddy Bernard, I hope your issues are sorted out. Daddy B. Okay, Daddy Goketo.
Yes.
Now talking about, because we are talking about children, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around children's rights?
The general statement, I'd say, we being adults in this country are not really respecting those rights. There are pockets of society where children's rights are taken to the utmost highest level and respected, but in most cases, children's rights are trampled upon. They do exist for a reason, and it is with a good intention at heart. There are rights that are contentious, depending on parenting styles and upbringing of parents. But in general, they are meant to protect the child and make sure that we are socially cohesive as different generations within a society.
Fantastic. Daddy B, are you back with us?
I'm here, Dad.
Yeah, your thoughts and reflections around what can we as maybe as parents do for children when we commemorate such day. What is it that we need to have in the forefront or in the back of our minds every time when we commemorate National Children's Day?
Okay. In my view, Dad, I believe we should start by ensuring that our children know and understand their rights. That's where we should start there. They should know that they have a right to health care, they have a right to education and protection and etc. And I believe most of the things, or most of the thing that is beyond uh, uh, other things is I believe is the freedom of speech. Are we doing justice by listening to our children? Are we give them that opportunity? Are we fair when we listen to our children? I believe one of the things that I believe to me is very important is the freedom of speech. Like I've mentioned earlier, we don't have to be in a situation where we listen to children when we are only in court. They have a lot of things to say. And then I believe that we are not making or creating an opportunity for children to tell us, what's bothering them. We come from our workplaces, then with different moods, with different feelings when we get home, and then it's no longer about them; it's about us. So when it comes to National Children's Day, as parents, what we need to always keep in our mind is that immediately when you have a child, it's no longer about you. You're a human yourself. There are other things that you need to do as an individual, as an adult. You have to have your own time. When you are married, you have your own time as a couple. But immediately when you have a child, someone who's depending on you have to prioritize them. You have to prioritize their needs. You also have to prioritize their wants. Sometimes their wants can be important to them compared to their needs. Some children, they cannot even differentiate between a need and a want. You know, so I believe that everything that we do, every decision that we take, you know, whatever we think about, it should be in the best interest of our children. And then we understand that currently we are seeing, even ourselves as an organization, we get to to be approached by different dads out there who are experiencing an issue of being denied access to their children. And then we tend to forget that denying a father access to a child, you automatically deny a child access to his father, and that is not in their best interest. So every time we need to think, or we need to take every day as a National Children's Day. Immediately when you have a child, it starts with you as a parent. The next thing is, it goes to any adult, in their country, even though they don't have a child in their life. But however, whenever they see a child, they should make sure that the interest of that child is of paramount. So I believe here and there we can be able to go back to the basics. We can adjust with the current times, but I think here and there we can adjust whereby we can accommodate other issues. When it comes to protection, we can see that it's late in the evening, it's late at night, but in the street, this is a minor. When you check with the child, he's been sent to the shops probably after 6 p.m. You'll wonder, a child at that time of the evening, a child of that age is being sent to the shop. What is the parent saying? Where is the parent again? So I believe that if parents, we can keep in the back of mind that actually, every day is a National Children's Day, and it starts with the parents themselves. Then after that, it starts with any adult in the country who doesn't even have a child in their life. But they should make sure that every child is safe. We should ensure that every child gets education. If we can see that there's a situation whereby a child doesn't get education, we need to act. There are necessary processes that we can follow. There are relevant people we can contact. If we feel that there's a child who doesn't get health care, then we need to intervene. So we need to treat every day as a National Children's Day. Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you, Daddy B. Also, thank you for soldiering on despite your network challenges. Um, I've been getting some comments here. Uh, you know this is basically aligned with the Child Protection Week, which is held in May. I think the last week of May, and it's an opportunity to be aware and access the children's right to survival, development, growth, and participation. Unfortunately, the protection and access to children's rights cannot take place if children's rights are not known and promoted. And what immediately came to mind with this was parental alienation, um, and its impact on children. Let's put the fathers aside. Its impact on children that parents do not realize. Your thoughts, DDK?
Yes, Daisy, I think I touched a bit on this with what I presented to your
Yeah.
viewers. Um, there's a number of areas where you I can use the word disable a child when you alienate a parent. I'll say a parent. We are not pro fathers only or pro mothers only. I'll say a parent. There are different views. For example, with one of the points I raised, we think differently as mother versus father. You robbing the child of the mother's view and experiences regarding whatever point you are discussing, or whatever task you are embarking on, or whatever knowledge could be embarked on, or passed down onto the child as a tool they can use to navigate through life. Parent alienation in itself is not okay. I almost used the wrong word there. It's not okay. Yeah. When one looks at it, it's in most cases to spite another parent at the detriment of a child. It doesn't focus on um, the completeness of a human being the child will grow up to be. It focuses on a selfish need to keep someone away from their child as well. Um, be it for the reason that a person can't afford to pay or that they're refusing to pay money for their child. It does, for whatever reason, actually, it does not make it right for a child to be robbed of one parent. Thanks.
Thank you, Daddy, for that. Um, I think, as parents, sometimes we forget that the things that we do on on a daily basis, they affect our children.
Mm,
And if we, for example, um, are bashing the dad, your father is useless,
mm,
your father is a no good for nothing person, and the child is there, we're forgetting that we're also saying the same to the child,
mm,
because 50% of that child is the father,
mm,
and 50% of that child is you, the mother. And a portion of it is the extended family, because we all carry the DNA of our families in us. And when we then bashing the father in front of the child, we also bashing the identity of that child.
yes.
And it's things that we don't know, we don't realize. We are so self-absorbed, we are so selfish that in our own battles, in our own bitterness, we forget about the child. I think most families are still living in the in the archaic belief that children need to be seen and not heard.
Yeah. We constantly plant seeds in our children's heads by saying such things and doing and displaying such behavior in front of them. And I'll take it further. We we are planting those seeds that will manifest in the next generation in our lives.
Yo, yo,
It will perpetuate. The same problem will manifest again.
yo, that that yeah. And I think that's why we're also struggling today, because the work that was supposed to be done, the love that was supposed to be given to children was not given to them then. Um, the care, the right to development, the right to care, the right to love. I mean, a child has the right to be loved.
Mm,
Um, they were not given that, and here we are, which I think a part of who we are these days is as a result of certain things that we did not receive, um, and the best of who we are is as a result of the things that we received, the love, the support. Maybe there are others who did not have any of that.
mm.
Mm,
And in some instances, you'll see that um, in my case, I'll do
yeah,
anything to have my wife and my children with me all the time. If I grew up without a mom or a dad, it wouldn't matter to me. I don't know what it is. I
yeah,
wouldn't fight to have it. It I wouldn't say it that's in all cases, but if you don't know something, you won't want it.
yeah, yeah. It's very true, and you don't know what you don't know. You
Yes,
don't know
yes.
that you don't have this.
Mm,
And and there's this concept that that I heard from Dedimish when he said, um, consequential children who come from consequential relationships. It wasn't an intentional relationship. I didn't go and ask to date that lady, but we met somewhere. I liked how she looked, and wham bam, the next thing she's pregnant, and now I have to step up. I have to
Yes.
step up to something I don't know,
Mm,
with someone I don't know, with someone I don't love.
yes.
Will I have the capacity to love that child and give to that child what I don't know? Because myself, I I never had love, you know. If you're that dad who has never had love, who has never had the care, how can you give that when you don't know that you don't have?
Come and drink from the cup of knowledge. That's in the picture.
Well said, well said. DDP?
No one knows everything. We also all learning. So my
Yeah,
experience, your experience, everyone's experience, we all mix them up and we show each other the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that
DDP?
you are raising very important issues there. And like you are saying, you always say there is a horror. You know, our children, they hear and see more than we think they do. You know, sometimes you might try to whisper, you know, to their mother, and maybe try to complain or something. They can hear you. You know, so imagine when you shout at their mother. You know, that time you are verbally, let me say, you're arguing, you know, with the mother. So they get the message loud and clear. Because imagine if they can hear you while you're whispering. You know, so I think it should also start with us as parents that, and then no need to point fingers, but I think we need to ensure that whatever we say and whatever we do, we protect our children. The protection is not only physical, but it can be also verbal, so that we protect them from hearing the things that they're not supposed to hear. You know, I was watching this video recently on the music video on Channel O. I think it's Big Zulu or Incarnation group. It's voicemail. The name of the song is voicemail. You know, you see the guy Big Zulu, before he argues, he complains. Let me say, he complains to the mother of not cooking. You are always out, this and that. He immediately took the two daughters out, the two little children out of the kitchen. Then that's where he started, you know, complain that you're not cooking. You know, you're always out. This thing, when is going to end? When I'm calling you, so it's always a voicemail, you know. So I think we should also remind ourselves that protection is not only physical. We should protect our children from the things we say that we know definitely they're wrong. And we might try to be, sometimes we try to be indirect. You know, let's say it's me and my friend. We are talking about whatever we want to talk about, and their children are here. And we try to be indirect. Definitely, you'll find out they already got the message what you are trying to talk about, what you are trying to hide, you know. So we should protect them from that aspect as well. And then, like Daddy Kuketo is saying, you know, based on my experience, is what I know and it's what I believe in and it's what I can teach other dads based on his experience and based on yours, Dad, is it, and based on other dads' experience. So when we gather as dads in the picture, we share that knowledge, especially when we meet, as we'll be meeting on the 10th, you know, the Day of the Dead, will be obviously some of the days we'll be meeting them for the first time. But it will be a moment where we engage, as we also do during our camps. Immediately Friday evening, we engage. Saturday afternoon, we engage. We learn so much because we always say that parenting doesn't have a manual. You know, parenting doesn't have instructions. You learn by experience and you learn as you grow. So as much as we want to raise our children in the way that we desire, I think we should ensure that as parents there are other things that we should remind ourselves of, like for example the do's and don'ts. You know, our children needs healthy fathers, so that we can be able to live longer years. But are we doing that? Are we going to the gym? Are we exercising? Are we eating healthy? But we forget about those things. So I think it also starts with us as parents. Like, what do we do in ensuring that we become good parents to our children? Yeah.
Thank you, Daddy B. Thank you, Daddy B. I think even as we're engaging, I'm getting some, lessons from both of you, dads. And that's what I love about this platform, about dads
Mm,
in the picture. You are always learning. There's never a
yeah.
moment where there's no learning.
Mm,
Even when you think you know, you realize how much you don't know.
yes.
Mm. DDK?
No, no words from me.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
I thought maybe you
I was in
wanted
agreement with what you were saying.
it's funny that earlier on I was looking at a video that we did last year. It's amazing how much we've grown just from last in a year.
Yeah.
The difference is so vast.
Mm,
Um, but also what's amazing is over and above the exterior growth, there has been a lot of internal growth.
mm,
Um, and I think now we're also about to grow some more because we've got the one and only our parent coach. I already know who I'm bringing in. Um,
Yes. Yes.
this is probably the one lady who features. She's the only lady who features in our WhatsApp groups. Umami Ayanda. Um, she's a phenomenal mom, also doing her best. So let me not delay and bring her on. Mommy,
Hi everyone. I'm so
hi,
sorry
you,
I'm
mommy.
late.
Hi, mommy. Hi,
it's okay.
mommy.
When I look at you now, your son looks like you.
Thank you.
Somehow, I just saw your son. Looking at you now, I just saw your son. It's like, hey, there's this young man.
I'm telling you, the genetics of having your children, you have your daughter, you have your son, you're expecting your daughter to look like you, the son looks like you, and then but anyway, children are just a blessing. They bring a purpose to us that is just beyond meaning.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of us, especially if after that you then do the mental work to understand yourself better, and you just keep growing, you grow in bounds as they transition through the different levels and stages of their development. You as a parent, you as an individual, just keep growing and growing as well because of the experience of just having them. It's almost like
yeah.
a mirror. You almost like mirror everything, because they do something today, you start thinking, okay, wait a minute, where did that come from? Maybe I need to change 1, 2, 3. Especially me, and then I'm researching stuff. I want to see what I can do to better things in terms of my household. They just the most amazing blessing.
Ne?
Yeah,
And and
absolutely.
how's and how's your relationship with your daughter?
Um, my relationship with my daughter is great. Daddy, I talk about this a lot. I'm very open about it. When I had my daughter, I had, yeah, the worst experience because of the relationship I had with the father. So there was a lot of mental breakdown in terms of myself as an individual. I literally broke down to the core. You know, I had to almost like rebuild this idea of who Ayanda is as a mom, because you basically go through experiences as a human being, and when you are not equipped, I think I'd like to put it this way, as when I think about my life, I think of myself as someone who became a parent, first of all, at a very young age, a single parent at that. I was also very scarred and traumatized from my own childhood of things that happened, daddy issues, a whole list of things. And then I think what I then did is I projected this idea of parenting, that it was almost like a perfect thing, like, you know, like everything was just fixed because I had this new person and this purpose. And I think when things didn't go right with the second one, with the relationship and all of that, I crumbled. So I literally had to grow myself from scratch, had to re-envision, had to get counseling to disassociate the the relationship with the father from my parenting and what's expected from me as a mom. And just going through that has been the most amazing experience. It took a lot of time, Daddy, I won't lie. It took time, but I can beautifully say that coming out at the end of that, I can be able to celebrate the mom I am to her. You know, I can look at her and not see the dad's reflection, you know, with all the anger and the frustration and it makes it so much easier that I've gone through that experience. It makes it so much easier to deal with parents who are also going through all of those heartbreaks and disappointments and frustrations and trying to figure out where they're trying to go in terms of their own parenting journeys. Because as I said, it's like you literally, with every step you take, it's a reflection, it's a consciousness, it's an awareness to say, okay, why am I feeling like this, what's happening, then go fix it, and then you take the next one and take the next one. So yeah, like a lot of people who hear me talk, I always say, parenting is something that you should stay away from if you can, for as long as you can, so that you first get to know yourself, you first discover who you are, so that we can have something so much more to bring to our children. And I know a lot of us have scars that are unhealed. We have scars that we're not ready to confront, which unfortunately becomes so sad, because then we bring that to our children. And I just think it's not necessary. With all the information that's out there right now that we know about mental health, we should not be, a third of us should not be having children. A lot of people out here are not qualified to be having children at all, you know. And then when you do have the effort and the work that is needed to put in to make sure that generations from now, you know, you can proudly look at your great grandchildren from wherever you will be in heaven, whatever you believe in, and say, listen, I've put in work and look at the results. So I just think that a lot of us are not aware of how delicate parenting is. And it's probably the reason why I'm so passionate about this topic, just trying to get people to be aware. This is not something you can just do. You can't just bank account it, EFT it, and make it good just because you, like, you know, every month you're paying. No, it needs so much more. It's so intricate. And your children's futures depend on every single one of us. Me as a mom, dads, how I then interpret the experiences I have when we don't work out as with the dad, how I may have to put my own needs aside just to make sure my children still have access to the dad, even though I am frustrated, I'm going through all those pains, with the interest of my children in mind, and almost like putting myself aside. And if you understand the science of why all of that is important, you know, you can almost you'll put more into it. You understand how serious this whole thing is, this whole parenting journey is.
I can tell you're very passionate about this. So
you know, I can talk about parenting all day. Like
I know, I can hear you. So then the next topic, I think, also then helps a lot of us as dads, you know, positive parenting tools for fathers. We think we know, we think we have it all figured out. We're just sharing earlier that we learn each and every day. Even us, during this conversation, as we were sharing, we were learning from each other. And I think now we will hand over to you to just share with us the positive parenting tools that we as dads can use as we navigate this world where there is no manual for these people. But what are the
No,
tools that we can use?
absolutely. So I think I
Over to
like to
you, Mimi.
thank you. Just firstly, just talking about oh sorry, let me just have a sip of water.
Sorry.
Talking about how, okay, I wanted to start talking about it from a science background, you know, in terms of sociology, in terms of what we understand about psychology. Okay, 50% of what we are as individuals is all coming from where we are raised, in terms of the environment, in terms of our homes, what we are seeing every day, in terms of what's happening in your household, in terms of the conversations that are happening between ourselves and our parents, extended family members, uncles, the whole 9 yards. So what does that say about the notion of what a lot of us thought parenting was, where you just want to put a roof over your kids' heads and you just want to make sure that they eat and they sleep and they have a good education? It basically says that there's so much more to that, because within this 50% that I'm talking about, we are basically saying the modeling, the environment is basically modeling. There's a concept in psychology called social learning theory. It talks to how you as a dad, or maybe talking to other dads, you know, your children are watching you, they're already having an idea of that is what is the correct way to engage in conversations. You know, everything that you are doing as a parent, your children are looking at that and they're saying that is the okay way to do 1, 2, 3. So when we talk about positive parenting tools, we're basically just talking about things that you can do to enhance the experience, where in your environment that you are always around your children, you're just bettering that experience. And it's so important, you know. I think a lot of people don't realize this, but when you're talking about our girl children, this is scientifically proven. Your girl child is looking at you as a father figure, and they will spend the rest of their lives being attracted to people who are your personality like. The way you treat her is the type of the relationship that you have, whether it's dysfunctional or functional. That is the kind of people that she will be attracted to. Like for me, just knowing that is insane, because it should be almost like you know, I'm thinking about those bells that you have at these Roman towns, like these old
Oh,
English
yeah.
towns.
Yeah.
It should be a bell for every father out there to say, you know, everything you're doing with your daughter, whether you are being there, giving her the phone calls, making her feel important, taking her out to dinners. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. It could just be going out to the park, sitting there, putting a picnic basket, having some sandwiches, and just reading some novels. Just by making the time for her, making her feel important, it means that when she starts getting into relationship years later, she would have understood that when I'm in a relationship with a man, you know, I'm not saying that they'll only be in a relationship with a man, right? I'm not going into the LGBT thing, but I'm just saying when they're in an intimate relationship, the expectations of being treated with respect, being treated as someone who matters, all of those things are literally all coming from how you and your daughter's relationship have basically been formed. How valuable is that for you as a person? You whatever you think of your own role in life, when you think about the fact that there's that addition to, as well, are you taking the time to get to know your daughter? Are you taking the time to tell her how beautiful she is, that she matters, that she's your whole world, you know, so that she only wants relationships that make her feel that way. And similarly, we're talking about your boy child. Your boy child is looking at you as a father and they're saying, wow, I'm going to be that kind of man. When I walk into a room, the same kind of vibe that you bring into the room, whether it's being feared, being adored, being respected, being the funny father, all of those things is the kind of role model that your son is looking at as well. And unconsciously already they're forming the idea of what kind of man, what kind of a husband, what kind of a father they're going to be, what kind of a big brother or big sister big brother they're going to be to their siblings. So it dawns on me on how important this role that we play in our children's life is. And I really want people to really have that sink in terms of this is literally 50, that environment then prescribes 50% of what your child is, in that they are then already, from the interactions with you, how they see the world is all because daddy makes the time. Daddy is having that extra presence in terms of their lives. So I think when we really sit down and think about our own parenting and where we are and how we parent, I don't know how many people can confidently put their hands up and say, you know, I put in the 100%. I bring my all when it comes to the parenting. I don't know how many parents could proudly put those hands up. And I really wish a lot of parents can listen to these tips that we're going to talk about. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my presentation now. Okay, cool. And I wish a lot of dads could really just sit down and think about that and let that sink in, about how important this role is in terms of who their children become, all because of how they have basically interacted with their children, how they. So when we talk about the concept of tools, right? Now we're getting into the whole parenting tools. I'd like someone to think of going to fix your vehicle and bringing in tools. Like, let's say you're trying to change a tire and you're coming with the garden tools, or vice versa. You go into the garden and you're bringing the tools that you have in your car. It's not going to work. So when we talk about how we then parent our children, then I always like to get parents to actually rate themselves, to say, how well do you think you're doing? How well would you rate yourself compared to your own father or whoever was a father figure to you? And what do you think you could change? And even as I am one of the most actively involved people in my children's lives, I can tell you every day there's something I can do different. And even when I'm slacking off and I have that red flag saying, oh my gosh, Aya, you shouldn't have responded like that. Yes, you're busy, but you could do better in terms of 1, 2, 3, you know, making sure I put the phone away every time my daughter comes into the room, telling her, because my children, what they do is they would walk into the room and say, are you busy? And I'd always have to, maybe I am busy. So sometimes it's not even something important. I'm watching series, but I have to press pause and say, yes, my honey bunch, what do you need? You know, sometimes you really want to finish this part of your series because it's so nice. So maybe sometimes I don't act right. And then I have to sit and stew with myself and say, okay, no, I could do better there. And actively do stuff to make sure that I'm communicating that message, because I understand why they always need to know that I'm accessible. They always need to know there's an open door policy with regards to them being able to access me. So when we talk about the parenting tools, there's 3 things that I'm going to just quickly chat about. How much time do I have, Daddy? So I know how quickly to go or not.
Let's say until you've got 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So there's 3 things that I really want to talk about that are really important when we talk about positive parenting tools. First of all, it's this unconditional love. And I basically touched on it a bit now by just talking about this example of my children coming into the room and I'm in the middle of, when the series, like it's getting to the climax, you're just about to uncover who's the murderer. So nice. But someone just walks in and they want to show you a dance. And you're like, why now? You want to scream. But being able to put that on pause, because you can. You can put that on pause. You can put your phone, turn it upside down and say, okay, what do you need, baby? Or if it's really important, what I then do, for instance, is I put a sign. So if I'm having my counseling sessions, I put a sign on the door and say, do not disturb. They know that one, it's non-negotiable, and we've had conversations about that. If it's really an emergency and the house is burning, then it's a different situation. So for me, making sure that they know that they have access to me all the time, anytime, when I'm not in a really serious situation is something I call very important part of my unconditional love. The physical warmth, I grew up in a household where my mom, I think in her childhood, she saw a lot of abuses, sexual abuses and stuff like that. And she felt that she did not need to give us those physical affection things. For her, it just, she had her own experiences. And up until this day, out of all my siblings, I'm the only one who openly approaches my mom with the biggest hugs and gives her the kisses on the cheeks. And even with my kids, our children, her grandchildren, you can almost see the difference in terms of how my children are more open to hugs and kisses. And my sister's children, for instance, my sister's still very uncomfortable with hugging in that way because of how we were raised. But I got to understand how important physical warmth is, because the feeling of you see me and you appreciate me as I am, not necessarily in a sexual way. We can talk about sexual grooming, that's another conversation, but just those innocent cheek pegs, those innocent loves, holding hands are so important. And also they model what is a proper way for family members to interact, so that when your child ever has something that's uncomfortable, they can actually say, wait a minute, that does not feel comfortable, and then we talk about empathy. Our children come home from school, they're hurt by whatever. You and I know it's not the end of the world just because that happened. But we need to be able to validate our children's feelings by being able to listen to them and say, how did that make you feel? I'm so sorry that you were hurt. I can bet you anyone who's listening here, especially in our age group, we don't know that kind of affection from our own parents. We were told, whether it was your first breakup or whatever, it's not the end of the world. You won't die. All of those kind of messaging.
And you couldn't go to your parents with your breakup stories.
And you couldn't go, exactly. But it's so important that now we understand that when our children come to us with whatever emotional traumas they're going to, whatever emotional roller coaster-ish that has happened throughout the day, we extend that hand, be able to give that hug and tell them it's going to be okay. But firstly, allow them to express themselves. Allow them to comfortably say, this is exactly how this made me feel. I like to talk about the example that I have. My daughter just started in an Afrikaans school this year, and it's been very hard. It's been so hard mentally, emotionally, everything, because she's in a school where she's now learning a new language. It's Afrikaans is the main language. It's never been our mother tongue. She's just going through the whole thing. But then what I've had to do as a parent is to, because of the work I do and understanding mental health, is to create an environment where I can accommodate all of this and knowing the issues that she's going to face. There is a hardships that come with always being the one who doesn't look like everyone else in your classroom. So I have to be more conscious about the fact that every day there's a challenge that she's experiencing. I have put in things in place. I had to get her a hamster that she comes home to every day. She loves it so much. She feeds it. She cleans up after it. She gives the stroking hugs, the play with it. And I knew as soon as I understood that she was going to be going to the school, how important it was for her to have that kind of environment where she gets this TLC, even if maybe sometimes I'm busy and I'm not able to give her that love. But coming home to her pet is like for her the most important thing, especially on a bad day. But also for me to be able to say what on a daily basis, what was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day? For both the 14-year-old and the 9-year-old, by having those conversations every day, I get to know who they are in terms of their individuals. I get to see them grow in terms of how because they'll tell me stories. Oh, today we prayed a plank on whoever. Today we did 1, 2, 3. And then I'm constantly having conversations. Okay, how do you feel about that? Why did you do that? Blah, 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 blah. I'm making sure that I'm the one person who knows my children more than anyone else in the world, so that if someone ever accuses my child tomorrow about something, I will be the first one to know, is that possible? Can Owami really do that? Or there's no ways in hell. There's no ways my son would do 1, 2, 3. So you as a parent will know your own child. Some of the things that I've had to do in my house are very extreme. On a really bad day, Daddy Z, would say I actually give my kids swearing passes. And I allow them to curse out and scream and say that again, Daddy.
No, I'm saying, is it like they can sway?
Yep. I do give them swearing passes. They can swear, they can scream, they can whatever they're feeling at that moment. But what has really been amazing about that, I can tell you, my children will never insult anyone else because they understand that the swearing pass thing happens between us. It's something that I've given them the permission to say, when you're over the age of 18, you can swear at whoever you like. That will be your baby, you're big enough. But while you are under the age of 18, you only swear when you have the swearing pass. And they love it so much, so that when they have a really bad day, they're able to come home, tell me what happened, ask for the swearing pass, kick around and how dare you do whatever, Marie, whoever at school, whatever. And then obviously because of the work I'm in, I'm able to do the coping mechanism. Okay, how did this make you feel? And. But I found that it allows them to then go back to deal with the anger and the frustration. And then we get to the tools of how do you deal with situations like that. And then they can go back to school tomorrow, try something new. I could chat forever about the different experiences that we've had with my daughter with trying to get her to try different things at school. It's been so fun. It's so much fun. We bond so much with that. It's just the most funnest part of our days. Being able to say words like I love you, like, listen, not just throwing it there and you're walking out the door, I love you with the firm glance, looking in the eyes. I love who you are. I love how kind you are. And I'll chat more about that, about adding the label praise to it. But when we look at our children in the eyes and give them that affection and that, listen, I see you, I hear you, it makes them feel like they're the most important people in the whole world. This is so important, Daddy Z, because it also talks to a concept that we barely talk about it as parents. In mental health, yabantwana bethu also actually depends on us as well, because we create the environment, as I said, but do we actually think about what does this mean in the long run for your child's mental health? How are they able to express their own anger? How are they able to express their own joys? Think about how often do we, as adults, just cry because you're really having a hard day. It's hard. and we end up needing therapy for izinto, where actually just crying could actually have been able to help you, because then you will know that there's something wrong. Crying emotions are red flags to say something is happening. When we hide those emotions away, then we don't know that things are happening. In a lot of the therapy stuff that I do working with people don't even know when they're feeling anxiety. People don't even know when they've lost and they're feeling frustrated. So and I'll touch on this a bit when we get to the modeling of the emotions and all of that. So and then I talk about a favorite one when it comes to unconditional love, just looking at your child. It doesn't even cost you 2 cents. Put your phone away. Look at them. Daddy, look, I'm doing this. They've been doing it 10 times. It's the same thing. Still smile and say, that's really nice. Maybe even challenge them. Okay, can you try do that with your toes crossed or whatever? Make them feel like they matter. And a lot of issues that psychologists deal with in terms of mental health have to do with just these pointers that I've told you right now. Feeling like we don't matter. A lot of us here who are sitting here, a lot of us, I can tell you, especially within the Black community, the ways that we were raised, and a lot of this touches in terms of our culture, and we were just not given that unconditional love, and it has had so many effects on who we are, that I think about just being able to put your hand up at work when you have an idea. You're worrying about, they're gonna think, yeah, papa, because these are things that you're told all of your life, things like that. Okay, because of time, I'm gonna try and rush now. And then the second parenting toolbox is acceptable social behavior. So the whole point of us as human beings, in terms of our evolution, in terms of just how we learn, is that we learn through watching other people. So when we do things like model, how you are, how you walk into the room, how you treat the people who are your loved ones, your children are watching, how you are patient. So it's one thing to say, be patient, be this. But when you are doing the actual action of it, I can promise you that's when your children are actually seeing it and understanding, that's what that looks like, and then talk about emotional vocabulary. A lot of us ourselves, as I said, I worked with a lot of clients who, when we do the emotional teaching in terms of vocabulary, they don't even know what emotions they're feeling. So when you are parenting your children with the day-to-day, getting to know what's happening in their lives, express what you are going through as well as a parent, in terms of your work, in terms of your studies, whatever's happening. Tell them, how was your day? I've had a very frustrating day. Why was it frustrating? Because I was trying to do this project and it's just not coming the way I'd like to. Start having those conversations so that your children can hear the word frustration, see what it looks like, imagine while you're conversing with them about what was happening when you were feeling frustrated, so that they can then use the words tomorrow, so that then you'll find that our children are not going to be perpetrators of gender-based violence, because instead of just going around and beating up people, they're going to say, listen, I'm feeling very stressed out. I feel vulnerable. Maybe I need to, and then the coping mechanism. Then we talk about coping mechanism. And then, when we talk modeling, we're talking patience, we're talking respect, we're talking conflict resolution. We tell our children how to act when they have conflicts with their own friends. But how do we act when there's conflicts within our families? Are we modeling the same thing that we're telling our children? That one only you as an individual can answer. And then one of my favorite things that I do, and I think a lot of parents don't know this, it's problem solving. Your child comes home and they have so many questions. Do you answer those questions for them, or do you challenge them to go back and find the answer? Remember, we want to raise a community of leaders, especially within the Black Black communities, Black society, who are going to come up with solutions to our problems. We're already seeing how our leaders are doing, and all of us are not happy with that. So how do we change it in our own households? We start challenging our own children to figure out how to solve their own problems. It becomes like a sport. It becomes a curiosity thing where even when they're looking at a problem, then they start thinking, how can I fix that? How does that work? But those are the conversations. If you think about how I started this conversation, I spoke about how the environment creates our children. And within that environment, the conversations that we are having will lead to our children thinking differently, processing information differently, identifying things that happen with the environment and having a different mindset to that. Challenge your child, even if you see them maybe having very set values or rules about something. Challenge them to look at the other side. Challenge them, what do you think? Let's say, I know because a lot of us would follow the whole US news, there's a lot of stuff that was happening with racism, and one of the things I would do with my children is constantly challenge them to think, why would the other person be thinking like that? What would be happening in their mindset? If someone was thinking like that, what would be the best way for you to try and help them see a better picture? We talk about racism. You want to help people see that you're also human, and just trying to give your child that competitive edge of seeing things differently, not necessarily as they are or because this is what the news say, but just allowing them to have that mindset. And then most important, because a lot of people think that when we're doing modern parenting, there's no punishment. No, that's not true. When we are doing modern parenting, pillars of modern parenting is care, consistency, it's choices and consequences. When you make rules in your house, you need to make sure that your children know the rules, they know boundaries, they know what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do, and what will be the consequences if they do the wrong things. You don't have to shout, you don't have to scream. If I come home and people have not done their chores, unfortunately, even if it's 12 o'clock midnight, I will wake them up gently and say, Sweetie Pie, you have not washed your socks. Sweetie Pie, you have not done the dishes. They have to drink water and do the dishes. I don't need to shout. They know that was part of what's expected of them. And then my favorite thing when we talk about what's acceptable, let's have fun with our children. You are easily influenced by someone you like. If you walk into the room and everybody changes demeanor, everybody gets all serious, already that's a red flag. There's something wrong there. You need to, because when it comes to you being the influence of these people, chances are they're not going to respect you, they're not going to listen. They may fear you, but they won't necessarily listen to you. They won't take your words to count. They won't be thinking about, oh, how would dad respond to this? How would, so you want to really be very conscious. So it's not a money thing that easy. You can literally just take your kids for a walk and have a soccer ball and find a spot somewhere, kick the ball. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can, on a Saturday, gather some of your friends, go to a park, have hot dog. It doesn't have to be some bit of roll. It can be just Viennas. Fry those up, and we need to, within the resources that we have, find things that we do with our children that will make us so memorable to them, so that they're always remembering us in their worst moments. They're always remembering us, wait, what would dad say? One day we won't be there. Those words are so important. The words that we say to them, the feelings that we give them. Imagine having that person who is always by your side, who is always cheering you on. And now one day you are an adult and you're going through the worst day. You want to be able to be that parent, I believe, who can have that kind of imprint in your child. And if we really think about how we're parenting in many instances, that's probably not going to be the case, because we want to I know it's hard to juggle trying to bring in the bacon and trying to be this figure of what we picture parenting to be. And the best way I can say, let's say you don't even have the time to go to the park and whatever, find a board game that you can have. In my house, if I can show you the number of board games that we have here, it's ridiculous. You would think that I run some kind of, and it's only for 3 people. We have cards, we have anti-monopoly, we have Rumnikid, different versions. We just got 5 seconds, we have 30 seconds. Every board game you can think of, every time there's a new one that I can get my hands on, I'm getting it. And what it does for me is it allows us to have that 2 hours every Sunday where we just rowdy, where it's just crazy. Like, you know, we even play their music on that day. And sometimes I'm shocked about the kind of content for stuff they listen to. But I allow for that because I want to be very much in touch with my children and know exactly what's happening with them. And then the other important thing, Kengoku, the last one, trying to finish as fast as I can. We talk about planning for the future. So you want to have this kind of future mindset that you have with your children, and that problem solving plays a very important part of this. So when you're talking about academic support, what I like to do with my teen, for instance, is to always ask him, what's the plan? What are you they bring out the report, put it here and say, okay, let's look at this report. In terms of how and where you see yourself in the future, in terms of this, excuse me, in terms of the results, do you see this getting us there? What can we do? In many instances, both my children are very hardworking. They're self-starters in that if we come up with a 2-hour thing a day for extramurals, for their studying, practicing, whatever, they will literally stick to that. They will make sure that I sign. We have extra books, not the school homework stuff, but we have extra books where they actually practice. So the son will do his NS or his maths, EMS or whatever, all these subjects nowadays. It's so hard. You have to remember the names and their titles because they were not the same as ours. But I sign every day that 2 hours effort that he puts in, because he's seen that 75 that he has, and he knows that to become a computer scientist at the level that he wants to be, and to be accepted to the type of tertiary schools that he wants, this is not adequate. So every other time now, in the past semester, for instance, he's really dropped in terms of his school and his performance. I didn't have to say anything. I just put the report here, I put the previous report and our plan that we had, that he signed, by the way. I said, listen, babe, this is what happened last semester. This is where you dropped, how you're going to pick up. Then he will say, okay, I'm putting my phone away during the week. I'll only get it on weekends because I haven't really done well, blah, 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 blah. I allow him to make those kind of choices. And obviously I hold him to consequences. And then we talk about persistency. You know, there's certain things that we can guarantee that every single child will not end up in some fancy tertiary institution. They won't all end up in this career ideology that we might have for them. But the certain things that when we teach them will become lifetime tools. So a lot of that modeling stuff, as I spoke about, how do you interact with your own friends? Have your child see that and take that in so that when they interact with their own friends as well, they understand the importance of building networks. When you are going through a hard time, maybe you're studying and you are trying to save, have those conversations, show your child how you're working towards a goal so that they can see, number one, adulting is not like we figured everything out. That is the biggest fallacy ever. You know, we did not see our own parents cry, and yet they were going through the most. I am completely, I'm 100% anti that kind of parenting. You want to be the parent who tells your child, listen, I have an assignment due, and mentally I can't even prepare. I can't get myself to sit down and read. And what does that mean? Chances are I'm only going to have one day to work on it. Have those conversations. Constantly be having those conversations. Number one, you're giving them a very, very deep vocabulary and then you're giving them a competitive edge to see reality is not the way we paint it, to say, yo, I remember how I thought when I get to 21, my whole life is just gonna fall. That is, I used to think it's just gonna fall into place, only to find I don't have none of the tools.
Oh yes. And then it showed you flames.
Showed me flames, absolutely. And then the two last things that I want to just talk about around planning for the future mindset is label praise. So there's actually adequate scientific evidence that you're more likely to change your behavior as a result of compliments than you are as a result of being shamed, humiliated, and. Which comes back to that whole thing I was talking about how when you look at how we were raised, so many things were done wrong. We don't blame our parents. Obviously, they didn't know better. But can you really want to be that parent now in 2022 who doesn't know these things when they're so much available and they're everywhere? So when you do things like label praise, number one, you ignore small things. So if you see like there's certain things you don't need to be the referee of in terms of your children, because you also want to preserve that relationship that you have. So as izinto uyabayeka badlale, sometimes bakudikile, that you like, listen, I'm not even going to entertain this. But where you see them do good, always I give the fives. Like you can't, like I'm so generous with my fives, like, and when I give those fives, I'm very.
Right.
Say that again, Daddy.
Catch them right.
I can't hear that.
I'm saying you catch them doing right.
Absolutely. I never miss anything they do right. I can ignore small bad things, but I never miss when they do right. And I'm very deliberate to make sure that I will name what I saw them do. So if I see the son being very patient or generous with the daughter, I am like, babe, I saw that and that was amazing. Keep doing that. That is just, do you understand how that could have made your sister feel? You know, and my son is an introvert, so he prefers to be in his own room. He doesn't like people in his space. My daughter is the complete opposite, social butterfly like me, always trying to mind his business. So they have a lot of conflicts. I try not to become the referee in many things. And for me, it has two benefits. Number one, I'm starting to see my daughter, and this is a little bit off the conversation now. I'm starting to see my daughter learn to be more firm and stand up to the brother, which is beautiful for me because that means when he goes out to the playground, when she goes out to the playground, she's also going to be firm and stand up to herself when other people are bullying her. So I'm not necessarily always preaching for her to be respectful to the brother. Sometimes watching that conflict is like a good thing for me. And then sometimes I see with my son being a bit mean. I mean, a bit like extra with the meanness. Then I have to call him in and say, babe, she's little. You can tell her, you can set the boundaries, but you don't have to be mean. And you have to always be respectful. You know, all of these things that I'm almost noticing, I'm only seeing and I'm able to fix them because I'm there, you know. This is like the highlight of everything. So we can talk parenting toolbox or not, but if you're not present, it's useless. And if any parent would remember anything from all I've said today, is that the parenting is like a journey. It's like, I don't know if people here hike, you know, I love hiking, and for me, every step I take when I hike, I like to be really deliberate about my goal and my objective in terms of, you know, because I usually future project when I hike and I think about whatever challenge that I'm having. But every step I take, I'm very reflective in terms of, you know, let's say building better relationship with my son, having less conflicts, trying to figure out how to be more of a friend to him, and still very firm, you know. So with every, I try to be very reflective and conscious in terms of how I parent, and it means a lot of rules change in my house in terms of the things that I get to learn. Trying to think, there was something I recently did that I decided to change. Oh, okay. Let me share this one. It's just in closing. You know,
Okay.
because then I would talk a lot about how I talk a lot about how I love him for who he is, but he's an introvert and he tends to be very withdrawn. And then obviously I want to fetch him from this withdrawnness and have him here, you know. And then and then I've had to change the wanting to fetch him. And how I do that is when it's going to be, when we're going to have visitors at home, for instance, I will make sure to tell him in time. When it's our playtime together, I have to tell him on Sunday at 6, between 6 and 8, we're going to do 1 to 3, because I also want him to feel comfortable in his own skin. If I find myself constantly trying to tell him that he's wrong, he's whatever, he's mean, he's whatever, then I'm also saying that whatever he is or he believes about himself is wrong. So I always have to find myself balancing between, I'm teaching you that it's okay to be yourself, but you still need to respect and understand the responsibility that you have to your sister in terms of how you talk to her. So the respect is not going to be one-sided. You still want her to respect you. If you are feeling mean or whatever, and you say something mean to her, once she comes back with that mean, on that same level of meanness, now you're going to be having an issue of respect. So yes, you may say, listen, I don't want you to get into my room without knocking, but say it in a respectful way so that she can understand that this is your boundary, this is where you are drawing your line, but you're still saying it in a respectful way. I mean, there's so many things you can think of that if you are very reflective and you really look at your children and you're observing them in terms of their growth, you can actually pick up that there's a lot they're going through. And our job is just to be there and hold their hands and teach them what we know. I don't think a lot of parents realize how, whether you're good at accounting, you're good at arguing, law stuff, I do. My kids know more psychology words than I care to understand sometimes, and I know it's because I use them to explain stuff. But they pick up. So let's give our children a competitive edge with everything that we know. If you're good at accounting, do the maths things, do the accounting things at home, random while you're driving somewhere. Maths times table, whatever you want to do. Make sure that you give your children something that's going to make them just amazing and make it fun. Make it fun, make it fun. I can't preach that enough.
I don't think Deriko Keto would want to give his children the things that he does, because they're going to soon be messing up with the PlayStation, the TV, and all the devices, because he's into the software development stuff. So his children may just surprise him. Imagine your child now coming up with something they've programmed.
Yes.
Daddy, what did you say? And then Daddy says something and then says, fact check. No, it's not true.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one wrong thing that I did. I told my daughter, there's no way you becoming an engineer. It's not gonna happen. The hardship of getting there, it's not worth it.
But here's Daddy.
Eh?
Here's Daddy being an engineer himself.
Yeah, but did
So,
you
so, so
sorry.
I would challenge you to say not necessarily the career per se, but think about the things that you can do in terms of how you think about problems. Think about the things that you can do in terms of how you analyze stuff and try to impart that on her, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you do that, whatever field that she may choose in the future, it will be an added competitive advantage for her. And she's just going to be amazing just because you were deliberate about teaching her that.
That is true, and that's another view of it. But my view is that it was tough, and I love my daughter. I don't want her to go through toughness.
She's gonna grow up to be an adult. That's another toughness
it is a choice to make. It was just advice for
Yeah.
Mm.
No, mommy, thank you for those tools, and I'm sure that dads have taken a lot. I know I have, and I will always go back to this and just get some of those nuggets. And I think one thing that I've learned also to do is catch my son doing right and celebrate that.
Yes.
Um, there's a book
This
I
is the
once read.
cheapest. You don't just give the fives.
Yeah,
Generous.
yeah.
yeah, and there's a book that I once read. It says, "So you want to be great." One of the things there was you don't always have to reprimand everything. There are things that you can, and there are things you should just let be.
Yeah.
And the other one that I learned from the movie The Shack was
Yeah.
sometimes focus on the relationship rather than on the other minute things. Focus on what's important is the relationship. Anything that may also hinder the relationship, like things that you can say. And I've applied that principle across with the people around me. There are things that you can call out, and there are things that can just, ah, it's not important. The
Yeah.
relationship is much more important than this particular act or thing.
Yeah.
So thank you for those tools. Didi
Yeah.
Kokeito and Didi Bernard, your thoughts, your reflections as we close, and then Didi Bernard, you'll close for us.
I picked up 2 points. I think will be pillars. There's many points I picked up. Apologies about that. There are just two that I picked that I thought will encompass everything for me.
Yeah.
There's one, Mami Ayanda, that you spoke about, and it's about leaving a positive imprint in your child's life. I think that one for me encompasses a lot of the points that you raised, because if that's the positive imprint that you want to leave, you'll follow onto all those other points. And
Yeah.
the last one was being there. I
Yeah.
think that one is the nugget of nuggets for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Didi Bernard, you can do
Yeah,
your
yeah,
reflection.
no.
We'll give Mami Ayanda the closing word, and then you can wrap up for us.
All right, so thank you, Derizi. Thank you, Mami Aya, as usually, feeding us with the information. At least on our side, in terms of our brain and your teachings, our memory cards, our USB don't get full. You put more, you put more, and then what we do is we execute to implement, you know. And then what I've also picked up on my side is the issue of leaving a legacy behind for your children, instilling with the information, teaching them what you know is what I really picked up. And I believe there are a lot of things that we know, including academical, but
Yeah.
are we making time to teach our children in terms of that? I I'm good with a bit of Excel there, but am I teaching my child as soon as they have grown, as soon as possible, so that immediately when they start going to tertiary, they already know they don't. For them attending a course here, Excel, it will be just a plus one, you know. So I believe that then we need to share the information that our parents gave us. Our parents taught us that at least we can share with them while we are still alive, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. I'm here today, I'm gone tomorrow, and I'm gone with the information that even my partner doesn't know of. Is
Yeah.
not aware of. So I think we need to teach our children as soon as they are able to understand, whatever we have, like you are saying, in terms of how to solve the problems. Their problem solving skills, they can even improve because of us, so that they know, first thing, they you need to control your emotions. You need to make sure that you have alternatives so they can choose the best one that will work for you. But just know that every solution you take, there's a disadvantage and advantages, so that we equip them as early as possible, so that in future themselves they can be much better parents than us. So thank you, Mami Aya, for that. for that.
Absolutely, my pleasure. You know, if you understand how as human beings we learn in terms of the synapses that connect when we start exposing, whether it's a new language, whether you're learning whatever you're learning, number one, you will understand that the brain is plastic, meaning that you can learn anything. So you know, exactly in our days, obviously, when we went to university and we were doing these computer things for the first time, it was like, it was this huge, huge deal. And it was hard for a lot of people because you didn't even have a typewriter in your home and you had to have this experience now with this laptop. And it actually wasn't laptops back then, it was computers. But think about the competitive advantage the other people who were from very well-off families had when they came with this. So basically, in saying this is, you don't have to necessarily be rich and have all these resources, you know, but you will find that there's certain things that you know, how you organize stuff, how like life skills that you, soft skills that you've learned over the years that are going to make your child absolutely amazing. How do you connect with your friends? How great has your social skills has been in order to build your own social networks? Expose your children to that. Um, and just make it fun. You don't want to also make it feel like it's a job now. But if you like what the things I do with my son is very much interested in computer science, and as I mentioned, I know nothing about that, but I've been investing in all the robotic stuff that are within my financial capacity, and he'll be getting the kits. He'll be working on it, figuring he's self-teaching himself at grade 8 how to code and whatnots and whatnots. And I'm encouraging it by investing in stuff. I would rather buy a order from your Amazon, whatever's some robot that needs to be coded and all of that for him, than to go buy him an Xbox or a PlayStation. Yes, I understand he can learn and he can have fun and social interactions with an Xbox, but what I'm trying to think about, because we have a plan, me and him, talking now about that future planning. He wants to be able to get into these Japanese computer science universities. They are competitive. Those children that he would be in schools with have tutors their whole lives. We are not, I'm not there yet. So I need to then, in terms of how we look at his academia, how we look at his career that he wants to get into, I need to be pumping in as much as I can. I need to be getting all my friends who are in the IT to say, what can you tell me? What can I tell my son about this career? Do you have any new program that I can tell him to download? I'm always asking for him. I'm always asking, hey, can you just have a 2-minute chat with my son? He's been trying to do this light, and you know, he's already making his own games. I'm encouraging it by making sure that within my very small capacity, I'm making sure that he knows that he's seen, heard, and I acknowledge his skill. Similar with my daughter. My daughter is more athletics and not necessarily academic, but we're working on it, you know, in terms of how I'm building her tools. But making sure that every other season, whether it's hockey, now into athletics, I don't even know the sport that he's playing. It's the one that you throw the ball. I'm there at every game. I'm buying the chips. I'm buying the KFCs to make sure that she's excited and she wants to. And there's things that she then learns that I believe from learning that athletics, she's going to bring into her academic, even though that may not be so strong now, because obviously she's also got new challenges of learning Afrikaans, but those things are going to start balancing each other out. She's learning about perseverance, she's learning about hard work, practice, and from athletics. Now she's going to easily start putting that into her academia, and she's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. But as we said, highlight everything. I need to be there to know what she needs. I need to be seeing that. Yeah,
Amazing.
The closing. Because I know I
Mani,
can talk.
thank you always for just availing yourself and unpacking everything that you know, and every time we learn something new from you. you know.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm becoming a better father just by these conversations.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
Yeah.
I mean the opportunities that we have. Let me just say this in closing. You know, as I mentioned, that the role a father plays is so important. If fathers are able to give their 100% as well in terms of contributing to the child, I can promise you that you are looking at a young lady, a young man who is going to know that they own the world. They're going to step into every room that they go into just because dad was there at every football game, was there helping with the homework. They're just going to feel like, listen, I don't owe anything to anyone. I'm here, I can give. I have so much to give. I'm amazing. I'm awesome. I'm this, that unlimited potential. So every dad here can literally bring that and give that legacy mindset into their children. And it is free 99.
Hey, Enkosi, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Barega Setswana go menagane. Sibonga straight. Derek Bernard, please way forward and then close us out.
All right. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you, Mami Ayanda, for always, blessing us with your presence and the information that you give to us, all the time. You are always there to assist us, to advise us. We really appreciate and we believe and hope that as far as this partnership has been going, we are watering it, and then we will go as further as God is giving us the strength to ensure that our children are well taken care of. Thank you, Dedicate, for your contributions, your input. Uh, we should just be reminded that whatever we do as adults, whatever we do as parents, it should be in the best interest of the children. We are humans, we understand that we are controlled by emotions and so forth and so on. However, but children, if there are children in the picture, it should start with them. So we should also ensure that our children, they know and understand their children's rights. They know, they understand their children's rights, so that they can be able to also identify where we are not doing right by them. So we're hoping and we should work towards uh, seeing a country, South Africa as it is, that is free from abuse of children, the neglect, exploitation. We hope and see that in future the fathers will be provided access irrespective of they are unable to pay for the maintenance or the damages. We believe that both parties should come to the table, and whatever they discuss and agree upon should be in the best interest of the children. And then we hope to see that in years to come, the National Children's Day will be bigger than we have seen before. And indeed, it should be all about the children. The children must be involved. The children, it should be all about the children, not only about us. Wherever they are, in our spaces, in our homes, in our schools, wherever they might be. So we hope that going forward, National Children's Day, it will be as bigger as it deserves to be for our children. So thank you, Dedizi, for leading us. Thank you, Mami Aya. We hope to see you soon. Thank you, Dedi Kokezo, and thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you and have a lovely day. Looking forward then to future engagements. To everyone who's tuned in and you want to know more about Dads in the Picture, visit our website, www.dadsinthepicture.co.za, and let's get in touch. Have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your year. Peace out.